And now, for your listening pleasure, here's Polizzi and Rose, covering the week of media, marketing, and digital content news. This Old Marketing. Take it away, boys.
Hello, my friends. This is Robert Rose, and welcome to episode number 294 of This Old Marketing, recorded on Thursday, October 21st, 2021. And with me, as always, my good friend, my colleague, and a guy, well, with as many guys that are missing from the Browns, might just have to suit up for the team, Mr. Joe Polizzi. How are you?
I'm a devastated Browns fan right now.
Good Lord, man. And by the way, has screwed up my entire fantasy team.
Oh, you had
Jarvis
Nick
Landry
Chubb,
is out. I had Nick Chubb, and I had Kareem Hunt, and I had Jarvis Landry, and it's like, oh my goodness gracious, I don't have enough running backs to field a team this week. I'm having to go to the waiver wire, and
neither do the Browns.
Yeah,
so
right.
There you go. Yeah, it's unfortunate. For those of you that weren't aware of what happened last weekend, the Browns got utterly destroyed by Arizona, and it wasn't even just the game score; it was the fact that we got injured up and down the roster. Now, the good news is we may be getting our offensive tackle back, and we may be getting Landry back this week. Maybe. But we also don't have a quarterback. I mean, we've got Case Keenum, who's a great backup. Very excited that we have Case Keenum, but Baker Mayfield's not playing. So, yeah, we'll be at the game. You know, we're season ticket holders. So we're going to... Of course. It's so nice that they set this up this way for us to get destroyed by Arizona on Sunday and then have to actually play a short week. Thursday night football. So
that's
so it's fine. And congratulations to your Cowboys. You know what's so exciting about the Cowboys this year is that they're winning the games they lost last year.
That's exactly right.
Same scores, exactly right. Overtime, really close, last second stuff, but they've learned how to win, which what all great teams do, and they obviously had the talent. So it's super exciting to see that, and I mean, you're living up to your part of the bargain. I am not. I have to now. If the Browns win miraculously over Denver today, then they should. They realistically
actually. Denver's
should.
Very beatable.
They have enough weaponry that they should be able. We'll go in at 4-3 after 7 games. If we can get to 5-3 after 8 games, I still feel very good about our chances, barring the fact that we've got to get healthy people back.
Yep, that's exactly right. Yeah, because Pittsburgh's not going to do anything this year. Cincinnati's actually usually Cincinnati's in the bottom of the basement at this point, but they're not
a bad team. They're not a pushover team. They're at least a 500 team, maybe better. Yeah, and so that division is really going to be tough to get out of there. And Baltimore is no slouch, and then Pittsburgh always stays in it. Always a good defense. As long as Big Ben has protection, you never know what he can do.
It's starting to become pretty well known what Big Ben can do. Sorry, JK. Yeah,
I was trying to be nice to our friend.
Yeah,
but
it's pretty. It's pretty
well. I think that everyone in Pittsburgh knows that they need a new quarterback. And,
you think?
Well, I mean, if Ben was riding on his motorcycle, he could get open more and throw. But I don't think they allow that. That's a bad comment. That's probably
hate letters are going to start coming in.
Hey, all I know is that the guy's a Hall of Famer. There's no doubt about it. He's going into the Hall of Fame. And
absolutely right.
That's it. And what do we have to show for it at the Browns? Nothing. I got nothing. We got Tim Couch.
Yeah.
Lately. That is. We're still leaning on Bernie Kosar from the 80s and Brian Sipe from the Cardiac Kids.
We're still back in the 90s, right? Got. Leaning on Troy Aikman, yeah.
Well, but you've got many Super Bowls in the last 30 years, and we do not. We have none.
Well, yeah, we have
0.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. So. I take the arrows in the heart from those who hate the Cowboys a lot, and and they're well deserved because they have not been good. They've been average. That's the problem with the Cowboys over the last 20 years is they've been average.
It's better than the Browns. But my question to you is, you didn't sell your Bitcoin, did you? Have you unsold?
No, God, no. I'm look, It's been weird to see this ride. I mean, first of all, Bitcoin, and so I am a holder of Bitcoin, Cardano, and Ethereum, all of which are, and a little bit of Doge, and all of them are
own Doge,
like,
but whatever.
Oh, it's totally fun. Come on, I mean, it's just fun, right?
If you're just doing it for that reason, that's fine. But
of course, I'm doing it for that reason. There's no other reason to do it.
But whatever. Yeah. So
it's doing well. It's doing, and by the way, so is the rally coin that which means Tilt coin is a good investment as well.
Yeah, Tilt has done very well. We don't like to focus on the price, but coin holders are very happy.
Oh my God, you sound like a CEO.
Look I'm not going to get...
You sound like a CEO talking to Wall Street. We don't focus on the stock price. We're here to provide best shareholder value and long-term value for our investors.
Well, the last thing that I want to do is to have the SEC looking at social tokens and community tokens, and I don't want them to. They've got enough to figure out with NFTs. I don't want them to come over to
you got to launder this money for at least another year or so before they get attention.
I don't want them to come close to what as my I can't even go into some places. Yeah, actually, Tilt has done very well. I think the price of the coin right now is what, $47 a coin. It's very, very nice. That's all that's all I have to say.
Very nice.
It's the utility of the coin that's the important part. That's where we're building our membership levels. We've got exclusive content we're delivering. Hey, the good news is, in a very short period of time, you'll be able to use your Tilt coin to buy merch. That'll be launching any day now. So you can get your own Tilt t-shirt.
Wow,
there are actually some really cool ones that we've got, and you'll love the one. It's the saying on the t-shirt says, "Thou shalt not build on rented land," and that's gonna be that's the one that I'm wearing out, because nobody will get it except for us, except for content.
That's
creators.
Cute. I like it.
So we've got a lot of those things, and you can get your mug, and you can get your stickers for your Apple computer and all that stuff. So it's very exciting. But honestly, I'm in the Bitcoin, Ethereum. I hold Solana as well. I'm in for the long term on those and to see what they do. But I mean, it's just basics of network effect and the fact that all governments are just printing money relentlessly, and digital scarcity. Well, thing. I mean, it is.
And I think. I mean, on the crypto side of things, it is there have been some things that have happened over the last couple of months. The ETF, we were actually going to cover it on the show, and then it didn't make the final cut.
There's a Bitcoin sort of ETF available. ETF, so that basically seemed to push the momentum through the $60,000. 60,000 price, and then
right,
Ethereum,
which was always considered sort of the wall, right? So, that was considered the wall.
Bitcoin hit the all-time high. It touched 67. I think right now, as we're recording this, it's around 64, and then Ethereum is headed toward their all-time high pretty soon. Which Ethereum, for those of you that don't know, is really the money of the web. If you wanted to buy an NFT, you have to have Ethereum. So it's interesting the way. It's weird. We talked about it, but it's a whole different world from when you go out and you're walking among other people that don't know anything about crypto or NFTs or community coins. It literally is like a completely different space. They have no idea. And then you'll get me on my rant where I'll talk about, oh yeah, well, if you put your money in dollars, it's like a melting ice cube, which is what I really believe. And I get concerned. I get concerned about the wealth divide and a lot of things that I think crypto helps solve, which most people are completely unaware of.
Yeah, I think that's it. That's of course the danger, right? Is that things pop before things get useful, right? You if you believe in that Gartner hype cycle, right? We're at that sort of the peak of inflated expectations kind of things. And if it comes down too hard off of that before it can actually ramp up into the usefulness category, then you see a lot of innovative things sort of end because people can't see they can't see the future, the real future, the usefulness of it, and all of a sudden things blow up before it can get.
I hear what you're saying, but I don't think we're close to being bubbly.
No, I don't think so either. But it is a concern for with not that this is a finance show by any stretch of the imagination, but you start looking at the supply chain issues that are going on right now and the sort of general health of the economy, which is generally pretty darn good,
except for the massive labor.
When you look at the fundamentals,
the labor shortages are a big problem. The supply
right.
shortages are a huge problem.
Exactly, because that causes inflation, and then that can trigger blah blah blah, and that triggers blah blah blah. So, so those are concerns because that will affect the price of crypto, and that does affect the perception of it. And then the other thing is something we have talked about, which is the volatility of it affects its usefulness, right? We had a little Twitter chat about this where we can see events now and some people putting up, hey, you can buy your ticket in crypto, right? But they're still pricing it in dollars, right? It's just, they have to, because the price is so volatile, you can't just stick up a thing saying buy it in Bitcoin, and today it might cost you X amount of Bitcoin, and tomorrow it might cost you Y amount of Bitcoin. You can't, that fluctuation can't really exist. So you might be getting a huge deal if you buy it on Monday, and might be way overpaying for it if you buy it on Friday.
That's where you and I disagree, because if your ETH is that's the currency of the internet right now, and everything is priced in ETH. So there's like one ETH is
I'm talking about companies that are putting out events where they're saying buy your ticket in Bitcoin.
I know
right?
they're doing that, but they're
pricing it in
correct.
dollars, right? So they're saying basically they're saying the ticket to the show is $100. Whatever that is in Bitcoin is what you're going to pay. So they're tying the value of Bitcoin to the dollar. That has to change if it's going to become useful.
I don't think it matters, to be honest. It doesn't matter at all. This is just because people know dollars, they understand dollars, so you're not going to change your terminology. You're gonna go to where your audience is at right now. That makes the most sense for them. They're not gonna put 24 Satoshis. Nobody knows what the heck you're talking about. They don't get that. So right now, what did they get?
That's the point. If nobody ever understands the value of Bitcoin, then it can't become a standard.
Well, you're at the very, very beginning of this, and right now with Bitcoin, you're in just store of value. Bitcoin is the story for Bitcoin right now is store of value. The Lightning Network is this, which is the secondary layer, which you'll be able to actually buy things off of. So think of things like the Visa and MasterCard. You don't buy a lot of things with dollars. What you buy off of the secondary networks with PayPal, with Visa, American Express. That's how that's all circulated. Well, Bitcoin doesn't have a robust network yet. It's just Lightning Network, and that's what El Salvador is running right now. We're not there yet. We don't have the layer solutions. Ethereum is. Ethereum's already there. We have already got the wallets. Everything's working very well on OpenSea and Super Rare and Foundation and those types of things. So that's why Ethereum works really well for that currency exchange you're talking about. But I don't think it's an either or. But that said, I don't say it's a vision, but what I think will happen, let's say 12 to 18 months, maybe 24 months, you'll be able to easily take a Tilt coin, a Rally coin, a Ethereum, Cardano, and you'll be able to switch that and swap that, because there's not just going to be one currency. There's going to be hundreds, if not thousands, of currencies, and that's the future we're headed into. If we really believed in what's going to happen with decentralized finance, that's what's going to go on. It's not just going to be one ring wins them all, takes them all like a Bitcoin. I totally do not believe that. But it's part of the story. And we totally lost half of our audience as I was talking about that. But It does play in. It does.
It's like you're watching that meter. You watch the meter, the audience meter, and it's just diving.
No, see, some of our audience wants to hear this because, frankly, there's two reasons. If you work for a marketer, if you're a marketer at a big brand, you have some kind of a loyalty rewards program. You need to be looking right now at tokenizing that. That is an opportunity. You can take it. You can put it as an asset on the balance sheet at some point. That's a big deal. So they need to figure that one out. And then if you're a small business, if you're a content creator, content entrepreneur, you have the opportunity to create your own mini economy by tokenizing. So these are new business models. We don't know where they're going to go, but it's absolutely a thing. By the way, if you hear rustling in the background,
I was going to say, do you have a printing press
no,
going back
I'm sorry
there?
About
or do you
that.
have our sewing machine?
I mean, there's some kind of a black cloud over my office right now, and it's crying.
I see.
I'm right through a storm right now. It seems to happen. Usually when we record, somebody is cutting down a tree or blowing leaves or some kind of thing. Now today it's a storm, and that's what you're hearing. So my apologies. It's right off the roof here. You're hearing.
God is crying about your NFTs is what's happening. That's
what's interesting.
Really happening.
See, here's the thing: we're having more financial conversations here because we have to. Because you're seeing marketing, content creation, and the financial aspects of these business models all come together as one. It's real.
Doesn't that just segue nicely into our first story?
Let's talk about that.
It does actually segue very nicely here. So interesting, folks. We have a lot of breaking news this week. Really, I mean, literally stuff that happened in the last day. Our first story, our top story, I guess it would be, is that it comes courtesy of TechCrunch, is that former President Trump is now announced that he will launch his own social media platform, calling it Truth Social. I'm just going to let that lie there. I'm not even going to touch it. But the article opens up by saying former U.S. President Donald Trump announced Wednesday that he will launch his own social media platform, Truth, that's all in caps, folks, Truth Social, according to a press release by Trump Media and Technology Group, which is also a new company, and to me, the more interesting story, to be quite frank. Trump's new social network is set to launch a beta version in November, which will be available to invited guests only. Its national rollout is expected in the first quarter of 2022, says the press release. Trump signals his aspirations to create a rival social media platform after he was kicked off from several social media platforms. Earlier this year, major social media firms, including Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube, banned or suspended Trump for violating their policies following the January 6th attack on the Capitol. I created Truth Social and TMTG to stand up to the tyranny of big tech. We live in a world where the Taliban has a huge presence on Twitter, yet your favorite American president has been silenced, said Trump in a statement. The article goes on to basically talk a little bit about the Truth Social app, where you can get a preview of it in the App Store and basically, I guess, sort of sign up for it when it becomes available. And the interesting thing to me is and there's a link to the press release, then I would love to get your take on this, Joe, is that the Trump Media and Technology Group, if you look at it, basically it's a merger of an existing SPAC, and we've talked about SPACs on this show before, which is a special something acquisition special purpose acquisition company, which was a company called the Digital World Acquisition Corporation, DWAC, which is already a public company, folks. The stock has more than doubled in the last since the announcement. So it's gone up to $14 or something like that, just literally in the last few days.
Oh my God, it's up 100% today.
I mean, it's unbelievable.
Jeez.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, it's crazy. And it basically, if you look at it, it's what in the weirdest kind of way, it's not unlike deals that Trump has done before, where he's basically lent his name to, whether it's steak knives or a university or whatever. He's now lent his name to a SPAC, which will assumably, by NASDAQ rules, they have to at some point make acquisitions of technology companies and become a actual, either fintech or technology or social media or something. They're going to have to make some acquisitions somewhere and basically justify their stock and money that they've got tied up in this thing. So it'll be really interesting to see the technology companies that become part of the Trump Media and Technology Group as they start to launch this social media network as well. So I don't know. Do you have a special take on this?
Well, just weird things. Like every time I see TMTG, I was like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, because the TMNT it's very
Right,
very close. Yeah. So I don't know if anybody looked at that. Look, we've talked about where a former President Trump fell down with his content strategy a long time ago, that he never really focused on email and collecting names. He focused on the centralized big tech platforms such as Twitter. And then when Twitter, who can make all the rules, just like they can do with any company, shut him down, he lost all that power. He lost that network, and he lost that audience that was never his in the first place. And that was it was a tragedy from the strategic standpoint. So now I think that this is probably a good move where he doesn't have to worry about somebody changing the rules, because him and his team can make the rules. So great. I don't know how I feel about another niche political social app. There's already a lot of them. If we want another one, great. I think it's a good move personally for Trump. But yeah, I think you're right. It's just like his stake deals and his tie deals, where he's leveraging out his name, his brand image, his likeness, just like a college player. We talked about the name and image likeness thing with college athletes being able to do that. Well, so does Donald Trump. And Trump has been able to do this, and we'll see how it goes. I'm sure it'll attract a lot of sponsors. And, good for him. Good for him. Not necessarily a platform I'll be on, but, a lot of people will.
It's one to watch for sure, because, when you look, I mean, not to put too fine a point on it, but he's becoming he is joining the content creator, the content entrepreneur economy, right? I mean, he is absolutely becoming part of it, and it will be very interesting to see as we follow this, if he can actually build a niche audience. I mean, and really follow the plan, right? I mean, and follow the Content Inc. plan, and focus on a platform and build an audience and monetize that audience. And I myself won't be an audience member myself, but I will be following it very closely to watch the strategy here and see, how it plays out for them, because it's fascinating to me. And the most fascinating thing to me is, I know there's been a real sort of decline, just literally, you talk about a tulip market or something like that. The idea of SPACs, sort of grew. Galloway had some statistic on his show that he said, in the first 3 months there were, hundreds of SPACs that were launched, and in the last 3 months, it's really, really fallen off a cliff, basically, in the last bit. But that doesn't mean that some of these SPACs won't survive and won't do well. It's just a really interesting marketplace right now for these big investment companies, blank check corporations. I mean, that literally I read through the SEC filings of Digital World Acquisition Corp. when they went public, and I didn't get a chance to. I've just started reading it this morning, and I read a bit of it. I wanted to see who the people were. Not surprisingly, none of them really from technology. There's one guy who had formed a tech company way back, but most of them are investment bankers or investment consultants who formed this thing in 2020 with the idea of acquiring and rolling up a bunch of technology companies in the manufacturing and logistics and fintech space. So if you read through their SEC, proposition for going public, it reads very much like one of the other SPACs, and now all of a sudden they're not that anymore, right? They're overnight. They are now
that's a SPAC.
Part of
you
Trump
fill the shell.
Yeah, exactly. And so now what will they fill the shelf with? And that, to me, I have to, we're going to talk a lot about MarTech in this episode, but I think it'll be fascinating to see what they fill the shelf with.
I think the learning is, first of all, he has a content tilt. He's got a hook. There's a personality there. There's a definite mission and stance that's differentiated. Leverage the big social platforms, and maybe you could argue that this was done a little bit later. It could have been done earlier, but that's okay. And then move to an own property. That's what every content creator needs to do. So, and this is
I think
this is the first time I'm going to say this. In this respect, you can follow what Donald Trump is doing.
Right? Maybe the only time. There's the headline for your show title.
No, I have a lot of friends that I don't want to ruffle the waters. Whatever. We're done with this story.
Yeah. Okay. Fine.
Next.
Yeah. Okay. Fine. Yeah. It will be, to be continued. Let's put it that way. Yeah. Moving on to our next story here. Pinterest this is also breaking news a little bit, is said to be in talks to buy, PayPal, I should say, is said to be in talks to buy Pinterest for $45 billion. That's with a B, folks, $45 billion. If completed, it would be the largest consumer internet deal of the past decade. The story that we'll link to in the show notes comes to us courtesy of the New York Times, where it said digital payments and online shopping go hand in hand. Now PayPal is trying to unite one with the other. The Silicon Valley digital payments giant has offered to buy Pinterest, the digital pinboard company that enables e-commerce within its app, in a deal valued at about $45 billion, according to people with knowledge of the discussions. PayPal has offered around $70 a share for Pinterest. The people said a 25% increase from Pinterest's opening share price on Wednesday. If completed, the deal would be the largest in the consumer internet industry in the past decade, topping Microsoft's $26 billion purchase of LinkedIn, almost by 2x, by the way, of LinkedIn in 2016, and Salesforce's $27.7 billion acquisition of Slack last year. It's the article goes on to explain some more details and some quotes from folks that are closer to the deal and what they think of it and all of that. But what do you think of it, Joe? I think this is. Look at PayPal. Holy smoly, this has been a resurrection and sort of renaissance for PayPal.
Well, first of all, I didn't realize when we first started doing the interviews for the latest version of Content Inc. how many of the content creators leverage Pinterest. Like I almost forget, because I'm not on Pinterest, so I wasn't following it probably like I should. But the number of content creators that are making a living off of Pinterest and building audiences there is phenomenal. So spend some time on it if you have it. You're just like, oh my God, look at this. This person's got sharing this stuff and that stuff, and there's a lot of audiences being built. So that's the one thing that gets me. But
with affiliate marketing, right? Mostly, is that the business model? Is affiliate marketing?
A lot of that comes from they click through, and so like say you build an audience and then you share a product or service, they can click through and then they get paid on that. Absolutely. Or they can sell, or you can sell your own products and services on there. Absolutely. Use that as a place to do that. But I think that the PayPal thing, first of all, you're like, what? PayPal? And then you're like, oh, I get it, because you're seeing this on TikTok. You're seeing it on Snap. You're seeing it on Pinterest. Everything is commerce related, right? Everything is leading to something, you being able to buy something. So what's happening on some of these TikTok channels is they're coming out in this new outfit with new shoes, and you'll be able to click through and buy, and the creator takes a cut of that. And what makes it all happen? Your payment solution, your Square, your PayPal, your MasterCard, your Visa, whatever that is unbelievable how that's happening. So PayPal is saying, wow, think about what's going to happen. Basically, all of Pinterest then can be run through PayPal's payment solution. Oh my God, it's brilliant. It is absolutely brilliant.
It's fantastic.
Well, so then take this. So what's going to happen? Let's say this goes through. What's going to happen is you're going to see Amex and MasterCard and Visa and a bunch of the other ones start doing the same thing and buying media sites, content creator sites. It's going to be nuts.
I think it's already started. It I guarantee you those companies are looking at media sites right now and doing exactly that. And I think the slowness of those sort of older, you've seen this. I mean, this has happened. Deals like this are happening, right? So if you don't know, and many of you I'm sure do, the Apple credit card, that you can get literally when you get your new iPhone, you can sign up for the Apple Pay credit card and get it right on your phone, and all of that. That's Goldman Sachs, right? So Goldman Sachs basically, creates, a payment credit card that that they're making money on through and private labeling through the Apple brand, and those are the kinds of deals that I would expect Amex to start making and Visa to start making very, very soon. Here is look at these content networks and technology networks and start to say, hey, we can be the payment platform for all these.
We
things.
just covered, was it 2 shows ago, that Intuit bought MailChimp?
Yep.
So you're seeing
exactly the same thing.
You're seeing
exactly the same thing.
They're targeting that audience. That audience has financial needs. Intuit will be that representative. It's unbelievable. It's amazing. We started talking about this at the beginning of the show. I didn't think all the stories would be related.
Yeah,
it's weird.
Funny
how somebody
enough,
plans these things out.
It's weird that way. It's just strange.
Nuts.
It's uncanny. Nuts. Crazy. I'm telling you. It's almost like we've done a few of these. All right. Moving on to our next story here, which is a really interesting one as well. And also breaking news, I have to say. This has been, this is where you come, folks. This is where you come for the breaking news that will help you understand
thankfully,
what's going
all these
on
things
in the
come
world
out. Yeah,
of
thankfully,
media,
all these things come out
marketing,
on Tuesday and
technology.
they come on Tuesday and Wednesday, so we can break the news on Thursday and send it out on Friday.
On Thursday.
Yeah, there we go.
Facebook apparently is going to change its whole corporate brand. Thanks to all of you who sent this over, by the way, through the hashtag, through email like this. We got bombarded with this story. And so thanks to all of you for doing that. Really, really appreciate it. But you can't miss it. You can't miss the Mr. Domo Arigato, Mr. Roboto, Mark Zuckerberg staring out at you from all of these stories, basically saying Facebook, and this one comes to us courtesy of MediaPost, by the way, whose latest scandal is its admission that it's allowed users to share information about human smuggling. What a way to open a story. That's just,
Could have gone so many directions there, but...
so many directions there. And can't you imagine the PR person's just like, that's a face palm right there. Like, oh, great. Really? Anyway, is set to reveal a corporate rebranding at its annual Connect conference on October 28th, if not sooner. The coming name change is likely to be intended to tie the images of the company and CEO Mark Zuckerberg to a focus on building the metaverse. A source with direct knowledge of the matter told The Verge. And The Verge, by the way, is one who kind of broke this story. Facebook declined to comment on the report. Of course they did. A rebranding that positioned Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp, and other holdings under a new umbrella name might also be meant to help address the increasingly negative perceptions of the Facebook brand. Good luck with that. The article goes on to talk a little bit more about the challenges they've had. We'll also link in the show notes to the Verge article that sort of did, but it's a little shorter. It basically says, hey, we're going to change that Facebook's going to change its name. And the new name is rumored to be Horizon, which would be interesting enough. But what do you think about this,
it's funny. I have insider information on what the name is, and I know, and I can predict with certainty what the name is going to be.
Uh-oh.
You want to hear it?
Okay. I'm ready.
The Facebook.
Did you talk to Justin Timberlake?
They're going to go back.
Timberlake?
They're going to go back to the original name, back to their roots.
No, they're not.
It was originally called the Facebook.
They are not.
Eduardo Saverin's going to be the new CEO.
I see. Oh, wow. Fantastic.
First of all, this makes perfect sense with the trouble that Facebook seems to be in almost every day in a new direction. It's very difficult, actually, when you are the internet in some countries to actually keep the people on there only saying certain things. I mean, you're getting every part of the wonderful nature of humans and the worst parts of humans on that network, and Facebook's there to referee it. I can't imagine how difficult it is to do that. And then, of course, there's good and bad with them, obstructing or allowing certain points of view. So they're going to change their name. Google did the same thing. What was it, 15? changed from to Alphabet and the whole new vision of the company. There's a lot of moving parts.
Which work not at all, by the way, because everybody refers to them as Google.
No, I think a lot of this is when you and I listen to the Prof G show. He talks about breaking up Facebook all the time, and this might be one way to get around that and say, okay, well, no, we're different pieces, we're different parts. If they were going to break it up, maybe this is a thing where you create the holding company. I don't know how they're going to do this. I do like the focus on, whether we're calling it the metaverse now. I think that's where, if Facebook has a competitive advantage in any area, it would be that one, especially with them owning Oculus. And I think the article I read said 10,000 employees are focused right now. 10,000 employees are focused on building out this metaverse project. And by the way, just if you don't know what metaverse is, nobody really knows what it's going to be. But I think of things like you're living your life on the web in a different reality, like Roblox would be, like a Minecraft, but you're almost in that character. We're seeing a lot of this in gaming right now. You're seeing with the NFTs and Sandbox, where people are buying plots of land for whatever the metaverse might be. So if of all the big tech companies, Facebook might have the upper hand with that. So from that, I agree with. Will the name change do anything? I don't even think it's news, but whatevs.
Well, here's the story I think behind the story, which is this is Facebook preparing for getting broken up. And I think, by moving to a more Alphabet-like structure where they have a parent company, which would be ostensibly everything that is Facebook right now, and then relegating Facebook to just one of their companies, when they get the order at some point to sort of divest themselves of something, that it makes it way easier for them to divest themselves of those. And they may even, quite frankly, if things continue the way they're going for Facebook itself, they could simply divest themselves willingly of the Facebook brand. Right. And sell that piece off, or, sell that platform off, or whatever. I don't think they would right now. It's too huge of a cash cow. By the way, fun fact on this, Facebook ad revenue for the first half of 2021. Want to guess?
How many billions?
Take a wild guess. Take a wild guess. The first half of 2021. Yeah, first half of 2021. Take a guess at the amount of revenue.
30
for
billion.
Facebook. $54.6 billion.
For just the first half?
For the first half of the year.
Holy.
That's bigger, by the way, and somebody pointed this out in Bo Sachs's email, that basically that first half figure from Facebook represents a great full year for the entire publishing industry.
That sounds about right.
Just to put that into perspective for you folks. Yeah, they're doing just fine, by the way.
Yeah, they're not hurting. I think I agree with you. I think it's a smart play.
It's a corporate. They're shuffling around things. Yeah,
on them, and they know it.
Yeah, and they know it. They know it, and they know it's coming, and so they need to start reorganizing the corporate things. Google did it for the same reason, by the way. I'm sure Google did it for the same reason back in 2015. They wanted to reorganize things in a way that Google's just one of our products. Google's, it's just one of our products, and we've got a bunch of products. We've got YouTube, we've got this thing, we've got that thing, and for them, it was really after they purchased the Motorola stuff, right, the hardware stuff, and that was one of the reasons they did it at that point, was to sort of organize and reorganize around that. So I think you're seeing a similar thing here. Just in this case, Facebook's building it, not buying it.
I have some more possible names. Okay, here you go. Okay, so first one is easy.
Right?
First one would be Zuckerland. I think Zuckerland.
Yeah, Zuckerland
could
is
work.
a good one.
How about Zikzak? How about Zoogle?
Yeah,
does that work? How about Zinstagram?
Yeah. How about I'm gonna get you Zucker?
Oh, yes! What a reference. That's Oh, that would be.
Yeah,
I would love that. I might actually go back to being on Facebook more if I was on I'm going to get you Zucka.com.
Yeah. move on, shall we?
Sure.
Before we get into trouble. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Our wonderful sponsor for this episode, by the way, is MarTech Alliance. And at some point, you'll hear a little bit more about them in this episode. But they have issued a new report. And their new report is just fantastic. And the report that they do, it's original research on the landscape of marketing technology. And got to say, it was a really, really great read. They sent it over to us a little beforehand of publishing so we could sort of have a take on it. And there are some really interesting things in this report that you're going to want to know if you're thinking about marketing technology. Since I'm sort of the resident marketing technology nerd here, I've taken a deep dive into it, Joe. And so but would love to get your take, obviously, on these things.
What's interesting is that you work with larger enterprises than I do, and they're dealing with all kinds of havoc on the marketing technology side. So I'd love to get your lens as to how this report reads for you.
It reads really well. I disagree with some of that, though. So, like many of the original research reports out there, including CMI's, they bring in some experts to sort of provide a point of view on what they think about the results. And I have some. I mean, they're not big disagreements. They're tweaks. They're slight disagreements that I'll point out here in just a moment. But overall, the research is fantastic, and it's by the way much needed in this business. Because there's not a lot of non-vendors out there doing this kind of work, so it's really great to see sort of more. Let's just say straight up and not sort of content marketing oriented slanted research in this way.
And the other thing is it's not all and some of the other research outfits focus on just the big players, which is a concern. And this
That's
one
right.
doesn't. It looks
great
trying
point.
to look at
Yeah,
the entire
great point.
landscape.
That's a great point. And so the first thing that it opens up with is, Scott Brinker. Of course, Scott Brinker featured prominently through this because Scott's such a great thinker in this space. And they talk a little bit about the MarTech 5000, the MarTech 10,000, whatever you want to call it these days. And the quote that sort of stuck out to me was, he said, "Look, we haven't done it yet for this year. We're researching it actively, but he said, I'm quite confident that we're going to see more than 10,000 vendors if we publish the MarTech landscape today." It's just. It's just amazing. It's just, there's so many vendors out there trying to do much of the same thing. I absolutely love the fact that they put in the report this comprehensive listing of acquisitions in the last year. I had totally forgot about the Citrix and Wrike acquisition, which was huge. It's a couple of $1 billion, and I had completely not paid attention to that. Interestingly, one of the research results that they came up with was that we're now in marketing spending more on MarTech than we do actually on media, which I thought was interesting. And we spend the same. So it's basically 61% say they're going to increase their marketing tech budget over the next year, but we're already spending about 23% which is the same percentage that these people reported that they spend on media, and it's actually more than they spend on people. So we actually spend more on technology than we do people right now, which is fascinating to me and something that I can vouch for. I think that's something that we see certainly in the work that we do. The fascinating thing to me, one of the fascinating results that I'll point out that I thought was the skills and talent thing. This is something that we have focused a lot of our work on, is where the skills and talent with marketing technology has really evolved to. Because one of the things that I think technology vendors have absolutely squandered in the last 15 years is this myopic focus on ease, right? It was every technology vendor says the same thing, which is it's easy. Business users can use this. This is an easy thing to do. This is easy. You should be able to do this. No problem. Business users can manage this technology. It's empowering your business users. It makes it easy to use interfaces, easy to use everything, easy to understand reports. And none of that is true for any technology, by the way, in the marketing tech space that's worth its salt, because they are expert systems. And so when I see this number in the research that basically says 42% said that they don't have the internal skills and talent needed to capitalize on the investments in technology that they're making. But also 42% said they do. So that's split in half. But 15% say they're neutral about it. And by the way, as you like to say, if you're neutral about it, the answer is no. You're not confident. You don't have the confidence, like if you don't know, the answer is no. Right. You don't have any confidence. And so what I see is that basically 67% don't have the confidence that they have the internal skills and talent needed to capitalize on MarTech. And that is something we see all over the place, which are businesses, quite frankly, that do not know how to use the technology that they have. And then they dive a little deeper there, and they basically go, okay, well, what is the deal with that? And they say, who's managing that for you? Is marketing managing that for you, or is IT managing your technology? 10% say that it's themselves, basically marketing, and 1% say it's IT, and then basically and then mostly it's split. There's an even responsibility, right? I think it's like 25% basically say it's evenly split.
What do you think about that split?
Marketing. What I think about that split is that what we're doing, and this is an observation contextually from all of the clients that we work with, because we see that too, right? Which is what we're doing is it's too hard for marketing people to do. For the most part, it's not easy for the business user. Business users are not empowered. So we recruit IT to help us manage the technology that we're putting in, but they don't know how to do it, because what we're mistaking is that this is not a technology issue, right? In other words, a technology issue that IT should be taking care of is code, implementation, making sure that the machines have enough memory to run the thing, or that we're connecting through the right APIs to the right technology over the cloud, and making those technology types of decisions and implementations to make the technology run better. That's an IT responsibility. Actually pushing the buttons and actually knowing which buttons to push, and publishing things or measuring things or sending emails out or whatever the technology is supposed to do for you, that should be a marketing responsibility. And quite frankly, because these are expert systems, because they're hard to learn, and they need experts in not just implementing them but managing them, marketing hasn't invested in that yet. And so when I see the number that say basically 60% agree that recruiting talent is hard, what that tells me is that we're not leaning into the fact that marketing should be, it's okay. We need to just be okay with the fact that marketing technology is difficult. It's, nobody expects you as an accountant to run and be able to run a financial system on day one. You have to learn it. You have to get involved in it, and you become expert at it. The same thing should be true with marketing technology, and we shouldn't shy away from that. That's what the insight for me.
It's such an important point. I've had the pleasure of riding along on a couple marketing automation implementations, which just say, okay, well, here we got to do this and this and get this person involved, and in 3 to 6 months we should have everything done and integrated, whatever. Some of these things go on for years. And one of the biggest issues, to your point, is they just don't understand that it takes a lot more people than they think to run these things, and then they don't have the proficiency. So they're out there looking for, they're either trying to skill up somebody, or they're trying to bring somebody in. And even small implementations, I would see 5, 7, 9 people just working on the marketing automation. It's ridiculous. Right. So you're right. I mean, that's where we're headed, where you're going to have that kind of need to have that kind of technology savvy on the marketing side, and it's obviously not there yet.
Even in the small business world, right? Even me as a tiny little business, right, with something like QuickBooks, I would never hire a bookkeeper or an accountant that wasn't familiar and an expert at QuickBooks, because I know that that's a system that they need to know in order to do their job. I would not assume that if I was going to hire somebody that I would just, it's easy enough for a business user to understand. No, it's not. It's an accounting system, and it's an expert system, and it needs to be treated as such. We should expect the same of our marketing content management, digital asset management, email, social media. All those things are expert systems, and we should just lean into that. We should lean in that marketing has become a very sophisticated and very difficult expert function in the business, and so that's okay. I'll close with this because I thought it would be an interesting discussion for you and me. One of the things that they talked about is the future, obviously, and the report says the marketers basically say that their biggest future investment is Internet of Things, 60%. Artificial intelligence is next, and no code, low code is in there as well. No code, low code being new applications that require zero code or very little code to actually make work and do what you need it to do. And Brinker, I think, says something really interesting. Says that the no code, low code thing is not really a category; it's a feature, which I agree with. 110%.
Like you're saying, you have to just make sure that it's that easy to use today.
That's baked into everything we do, right? It's just. I also think artificial intelligence is that as well, right? So when I think of AI for marketing, I don't think that's a category. I think that's going to become a feature of just about everything else that's in there. So it's really just marketing tech, and then AI is part of what is getting, it's a platform, it's a feature within the MarTech that we're doing. There really isn't a category called AI that's gonna drive things, and that to me makes a lot more sense. But and that's a fun conversation probably for another day. But blockchain is also on that, and I'll bet, this may surprise you, I'll bet blockchain supplants AI in the next year in terms of marketing priorities. Just because of the conversation we were having today.
It's so funny that if we had this conversation a year ago, blockchain probably wouldn't even come up. And how quickly
That's exactly right.
This thing is moving and creating all sorts of new models that we didn't anticipate. I would agree. Of course, I think you probably would know that I would agree that blockchain is going to. But nobody knows what that means yet from a marketing standpoint, because the models are being built right now. And there's a lot of, first through the wall are getting bloody, figuring this thing out. They're just right now.
Well, I think
benefiting a lot from the trend. And you're seeing that with Gary Vaynerchuk or Tom Bilyeu and a bunch of different models out there. But it's interesting about the AI thing. Obviously, Paul Reitzer, who runs Marketing AI Institute, he will I don't know if he would agree with you on the idea that it's just a feature. But even if it is, the amount of things that the marketing department is doing right now that they won't have to do in the next 5 years, it's probably the majority of what marketers are doing. So, and a lot of that will be automated. So which is just amazing that we just don't even realize yet how quickly all this is moving. And even, I think I told you the other day, I just feel so behind. I can't catch up.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And you and I, it's our job to be on, to read the news and to figure out what the latest trends are. I can't imagine a full-time content creator, full-time marketer that has to deal with the new tech issues and figure this thing out.
Well, luckily they have this show. Joe.
This is why we are around. To just make everyone's life
This is weird.
better.
This is the service we provide to the world. We're here. We're givers. We're givers, really. When you think about it, we're givers.
Well, you're a giver.
We're givers.
You're
a giver. No, you're a giver.
So nice of you. Here's a quick word from our sponsor. The world has changed, and so has the way we learn. Embrace a new approach to building the skills and knowledge you need to succeed. The MarTech Alliance, a specialist learning solutions provider in marketing, tech, and data, provides a suite of learning options across its events, courses, and resources for both individuals and teams. Combining the digital and physical, live and on-demand, formal and informal, micro and intensive / in-depth, instructor-led, self-serve, and community-based to deliver rich learning experiences. From its anti-conference MarTech Fest to its market research, webinars, and certified digital courses, you can keep learning and keep upgrading. Check out the MarTech Alliance to help drive your career and company. And if you want more details, please visit martechalliance.com/training. That's martechalliance.com/training. And now, back to the show.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, it is now time for your favorite and empirically proven favorite part of the show. It is, of course, our rants and raves section where Joe and I go off on a little bit of a rant or a little bit of a rave that makes us feel like the Dallas Cowboys or makes us feel a little bit like the Cleveland Browns. See what I did there? See how I did that? Anyway, you want me to go first? Mine's quick.
Sure.
I got a very, very quick one just to round things out. It's a continuation of my rant on content marketing.
This is like a 4-episode rant. I mean,
I'm just going to keep going. I think I'm just going to keep it going for a while.
Continual rant.
So, yeah, I'm just going to make it an ongoing series, right? It'll be like The Mandalorian. It never quite resolves, right? So this week, unbeknownst to probably most of you, advertising week happens. Great. I didn't even realize it was happening, but yeah, it's happening right now. And I guess people in New York
when the entire marketing industry stopped to see.
Yeah, when advertising week would happen. Yeah, wow. Yeah, it really has changed. I will say I went through the sessions, and by the way, we'll link to an article in Marketing Dive that sort of talks about, reviews some of the agenda and what's going on there and the outlook. It's a good article. As usual from Marketing Dive. But I went through, as I want to do, because, of course, nobody reached out to me and said, hey, you want to come talk on content marketing at Advertising Week? My bad for not basically applying, I guess. You have to apply if there was such a thing, even... Yeah, I'm going to try. I'm going to see. I'm actually looking for the place to apply, but I don't see that. And by the way, they have some great speakers. There are some great sessions that look there. But I will say two things. One is, and I think you know where I'm going with this, there was woefully little or none, probably the more accurate quantity, of sessions devoted to the idea of content marketing or content strategy. The one session I did see on content strategy was basically how television networks can navigate over the top types of strategies versus broadcast and cable strategies, which is okay. I don't know why that was called content strategy, but there you go. But if you're looking to learn about Gen Z, well, Advertising Week has you set up, folks, because there were no less than 25 or 20 sessions on Gen Z. Gen Z, navigating Gen Z. Gen Z is the new big market for you. How to talk to Gen Z. Gen Z, by the way, my favorite was after sort of last on the list of this was a session called Gen Z Hates Being Called Gen Z, so stop calling them Gen Z. And it really was titled that. So... Anyway, my rant is only that it's woefully little on that, and then supplemented by an article that we'll link to. And thanks to Pieter van Digel. Pieter, I'm hoping I'm pronouncing your name correctly, at P Van Digel on Twitter. Thank you for the hat tip, or excuse me, thank you for the pointed story here from OutsideBusinessJournal.com, which had a wonderful story about all of these new companies, these outdoor brands. Great case studies, by the way, for those of you looking for outdoor brands, case studies in content marketing, are turning customer stories, not content marketing, customer stories into marketing gold. And then it opens up by saying story-based marketing is hot right now. Did you guys know this? Story-based marketing is hot right now. Yes. 3 new campaigns from The North Face, Houdini, and Caritra show how outdoor companies are leaning into the trend. And it goes on to talk about some wonderful case studies from these companies. Again, I'm just, I don't know at this point whether to blame myself, which I'm doing plenty of, by the way. So, there is that. But it's so funny. It's like it literally is the Voldemort of words. It just seems that the mainstream media just can't say the word. So
I don't think it's going to happen.
That's my rant for this week.
I don't know.
Yeah, it may not happen. It may not. It might not. But I'm going to keep working.
Everything's just going to advertising.
Yeah. Right. Exactly.
All right. Thank you for that. The continued rant, that 4-episode rant. We enjoyed that. Mine is very quick. Mine is a rave, and I really enjoyed this article from CoinDesk. You and I have had many conversations.
Oh, right.
Yeah. You and I have had many conversations about and you've mentioned the fact that why would anybody buy a JPEG? Because I can right click on that JPEG and I can save it and there's no value and blah, blah, blah. Yeah. So I like this article specifically because it tries to debunk that. And I'm going to read a little bit from it. So this is from this CoinDesk article. CoinDesk is sort of like the media company for crypto, if you would. And
they have no stake in this game. Yeah,
they're owned by
they're completely unbiased. They're completely unbiased in this idea. So this wouldn't be content marketing or anything. But please continue.
This whole thing is content marketing. The whole thing.
Yes.
They're definitely pushing an agenda. Consider so it says under rights. Consider a common dismissive response to the NFT buying frenzy. And I want everyone to picture that this is coming from Robert Rose, okay? Instead of people, it's going to say Robert Rose asks, why on earth would someone pay millions of dollars for a JPEG that I can simply right-click /save to my hard drive? Robert Rose has actually asked this question. Now, that goes on to says the problem with the statement is it confuses possession of a digital file with rights to the artwork or information contained with it. So this is really important. The JPEG is really a representation only of the ownership file below it. So it says it's the latter that NFTs offer, creating provable, scarce, digital markers of value and providing a vital building block for a better system of rights enforcement. So just to, are you buying that image? You're buying the rights to that image and what's involved in the smart contract of the non-fungible token, so that if an artist goes ahead and sells that JPEG, whatever that case is, it's the right below it that you bought that, and then if you resell that, the smart contract works and pays off the royalty rights of the owner, and you are not selling the JPEG, you are selling the rights to that underlying with the digital certificate that's on the blockchain. So I just like this article. It dumbs it down a little bit where everyone can understand it, because I would say 90% of people think, oh, I just bought this digital art. Well, not really. You bought something that represents the rights behind it, and that's what's kept in the smart contract. And I think that this is gonna just be an area of confusion for a long period of time. So I'll put this in the show notes. I would request that everyone go ahead and read this, because it is always a big issue of communication. And we're gonna, by the way, we've talked about this before. We will see this version of smart contracts, whether there's a JPEG or whether it's an article or whether it's a music file. It's the underlying rights that are important, kept in the smart contract, and then will initiate what needs to happen from whenever action is taken.
Right. Well, that little asterisk is the key, right? If it confers ownership, then you're right. There is a value exchange there in terms of the ownership of the, what right. The question is what rights are conferred. And in other words, if, for example, the NFT I bought, I didn't get any ownership of it. I just got a certificate saying it was the original one. That's it. I don't own the rights to it. I can't sell it. I can't make T-shirts out of it. I can't, I don't own any rights to it. Now, conversely, that dad thing
dads.
you bought, cyber dads or whatever,
we get the licensing rights to the image.
There you go. So that's different, right? So it's a different. What you're buying is different. Right. When so-and-so, whenever, maybe it was an inside job, maybe it wasn't. Whenever that person bought the Beeple for millions of dollars, they didn't get the rights to it. They didn't get rights. Beeple retained all of the ownership rights. He just got a digital certificate said that, yeah, exactly. So that's the difference. What are you buying?
And by the way, in some cases, the digital certificate may be enough. Like, I talked to you about this last time. I own a Mickey Mantle signed baseball, and that came with a certificate of authenticity that is written down by whoever got the autograph. Well, how great is that? So that could be forged. I don't know. So that's what we're trying to get to, something that's provable and public, and you can look and see every time. So today with an NFT, you can go to etherscan.com, and you can go directly to the address of the NFT, and you can see exactly what digital address owns it and how many times it's flipped and what the rights are. So that's where you have to do some research once you get past buying 1 or 2 NFTs and go in and say, okay, what are the rights? Like what are the digital rights? What do they mean? What do they stand for? And that's why we'll see all kinds of insurance programs have NFTs and all kinds of contracts in the future have NFTs, and they'll just be publicly available that anyone can read on the blockchain. So we're getting there. We're about 12 to 18 months we'll be there. Probably.
Yep.
So there you go. There you go.
All right.
Fun. Yeah.
There you go.
So,
all right. Well, what's up for the week?
So Browns game tonight, obviously. Hopefully people are listening to this and they'll already know that the Browns, knock on wood, won that game. And then our youngest is coming home for his fall break. So we're excited to have him back from Kentucky. And so we'll see him. We'll pick him up late tonight at the airport. So that'll be fun.
Aww,
and then I think the oldest is coming back, and we're going to have a little family reunion on Saturday. So
so
it'll be fun to see the children again. How about you? What do you got going on?
Well, the weather is spectacular here in Southern California. I have to tell you, we're having a rare October where it's cool and a little rainy, and everybody is just such in a happy mood here. So it's been fun to be outside. But I'm like that magician in Frosty the Snowman, busy. So I've got a ton of client work that I have to get done. So I'm going to be busy this weekend doing that. But of course, I'll be watching many of the games. My Cowboys are on a bye this week, so I won't be watching the Cowboys, but I'll be watching everybody else and hoping the best for my depleted fantasy football team. So that's my
very
weekend.
Good. Well, another wonderful show, my friend. Not to pat ourselves on the back.
Very much so. No, but this was fun. And we are, by the way, folks, coming up to 300. We have a number of things. Next week, we'll probably start to introduce some fun, interesting homework assignments for you maybe, or some things that we might have planned, or those kinds of things as we approach the number 300, which is going to be a very special episode that you're not going to want to miss. We're no spoiler alerts yet, but it's going to be, we're going to do some interesting and fun things. We got lots of stuff in the pipe for that. So in the meantime, if you want to get all the goodness of this podcast show notes or dive into any of the other 293 episodes, well, just get on over to our wonderful little website at ThisOldMarketing.site. We want to thank the good folks at Radix for powering our ThisOldMarketing.site. And if you want your own .site domain, get over to Radix and get your own .site domain. Until we meet again next week, just remember, it's your story to tell. Tell it well. We'll see you soon on This Old Marketing.